long after Hannibal's death, the ashes of the Punic Wars still smoldered. Rome had conquered but never rested. The memory of Cannae, of Zama, of the elephants in the Alps was not history to them. It was prophecy. The empire's hunger grew insatiable. With Carthage subdued, it turned its gaze eastward, toward the fractured kingdoms of Greece and the legacy of Alexander. There, old kings sharpened new swords, and bloodlines still festered with vengeance. The sons of those who bled under Hannibal's shadow now wore the crested helmets of generals. And they had learned well. Their teachers had been ghosts. In Macedonia, 172 BCE, King Perseus of Macedon stood atop the sacred heights of Olympus, the peaks cold and cruel against the dawn. Below him, his phalanx drilled with relentless rhythm, rows of spears like fields of steel, cavalry thunder circling the flanks. "Rome sees us as broken," he growled to his generals. "Then we must shatter their illusion." His father, Philip V, had once knelt before Rome after defeat. Perseus had not forgotten that humiliation. He would not kneel, not ever. In the quiet corridors of his palace, the spies came and went like shadows. Gold flowed from Perseus's coffers to Greek city-states, to Illyrian tribes, to Gallic warbands far beyond the mountains. Treaties were forged in whispers, oaths sealed in darkness. But Rome had long ears, and Rome never forgot. Rome, the Curia Hostilia. In the Senate, the air itself trembled with the clamor of fear and ambition. "Macedon arms again," shouted one senator. "Then we must cut off the arm before it forms a fist," said another. Many remembered Hannibal. Some had fought him. They saw his ghost in Perseus, not in the man, but in the audacity to resist Rome. At the center of this storm sat Lucius Aemilius Paullus, a seasoned general who had bled in Spain and stood beside Scipio. But time and politics had buried him beneath younger names. Scipio leaned close. "You knew Hannibal. You studied him. You know Macedon. Can you end another shadow?" Lucius met his eyes. "I will not fight like my father. I will finish what Rome began." The vote was cast. War was declared. Mobilization. 171 BCE, Rome stirred. It did not send legions. It sent a storm. Veterans from Hispania, recruits from the Alpine frontiers, allies from all corners of Italy answered the call. Smiths forged swords day and night. Grain was hoarded, horses were branded. Lucius watched the camps burn with torchlight as men trained under the moon. "We fight a king who believes himself descended from gods," he told his tribunes. "Then let us remind him what men can do." In the north, Perseus prepared. His armies massed in the valleys of Thessaly, their bronze shields flashing under the sun. War elephants arrived from Asia Minor, and cavalry banners whipped like fire in the wind. "Rome will drown in bronze," Perseus promised, "and I will become legend." First skirmishes. The blooding. The war began not with glory, but with shadows. Mountain tribes bribed with Macedonian gold, ambushed Roman supply lines. Messengers disappeared. Camps were found gutted, fires cold, blood frozen on the grass. Lucius responded not with speeches, but fire. He ordered entire forests burned to expose ambushers. Towns that gave sanctuary to Macedonian scouts were razed. For every Roman cut down, a village turned to ash. "This is not a noble war," his legate said. "No," Lucius replied. "It is a necessary one." The turning point, crossing the river Elpais. The river Elpais was more than a barrier. It was Perseus's shield, wide, deep, swift. Behind it, the Macedonian army waited, fortified, confident. Perseus believed it impassable. Lucius stood before it, maps fluttering in the wind, his eyes sharp. "What cannot be crossed," he said, "can be deceived." He sent a full legion north, complete with siege engines and blaring trumpets. Perseus bit the bait and shifted his lines. But under the moonlight, Lucius led his best soldiers south, guided by local captives broken under torture, through a dry riverbed hidden beneath brush and stone. By dawn, they emerged behind the Macedonian defenses. "Sound no horns," Lucius ordered. "We strike not with pride, but with precision." Steel met silence, and Rome crept closer to victory. The Battle of Pydna, June 22, 168 BCE. The plain of Pydna shimmered under a scorching sun. Dust curled in the wind. Macedonian phalanxes stretched across the horizon like a bronze wall. Pikes angled forward, shields overlapping in perfect rhythm. Behind them, King Perseus sat tall atop a white stallion, clad in golden armor, his purple cloak trailing like a banner of kings. "Let them come," he said. "Let Rome break upon our spears." He believed in the phalanx. It had built empires. It had conquered Persia. It had made Alexander immortal. But he had never fought Roman legions. Across the field, Lucius Aemilius Paullus stood silent. His officers spoke nervously of the enemy's size. Their pikes were longer, their lines tighter. Lucius said nothing until the wind shifted. "Now," he whispered, "let the ground do the killing." He had studied this battlefield for days. A dry creek bed ran across the plain, shallow, forgotten. But when the phalanx advanced across it, their formation broke. The spears tilted unevenly, gaps formed. Lucius raised his hand. Infantry forward cut the gaps. Break the rhythm. The Roman legions moved with terrifying speed, short swords slashing between spears, shields smashing into startled faces. The phalanx, once feared across the world, faltered, and then it shattered. Perseus fall from his vantage point. Perseus watched the slaughter. He shouted for reserves, but many had already fled. Others refused to move. Fear spread faster than flame. His commanders pleaded for orders. But Perseus turned his horse and rode, fleeing his own legacy. "The lion has teeth," Lucius muttered, watching, but no heart. What remained of the Macedonian army collapsed. Thousands died where they stood. More surrendered, kneeling in blood and dust. The kingdom of Macedon, birthplace of Alexander, was gone. Aftermath. Rome triumphant Perseus was captured soon after, betrayed by his own men. In Rome, he was paraded through the streets in chains, his royal robes torn, his crown cast before him. The Senate dissolved the Macedonian monarchy. Its lands were split into weak republics loyal to Rome. Gold flooded the Roman treasury. Statues of old Macedonian kings were melted down and remade into Roman coin. Lucius Aemilius Paullus returned not as a general, but as a monument. "You have ended a bloodline," said Scipio Aemilianus. "No," Lucius replied. "I have ended an illusion." Rome had not just won a war. It had erased a legacy. Legacy, the sons of war. In the years that followed, Rome's grip tightened around the Mediterranean. No kingdom dared rise. The legions had become legend. But Lucius was not done. He adopted into his household a brilliant young man, full of ambition and fire, a descendant of Scipio Africanus. His name, Publius Cornelius Scipio Aemilianus. "I will teach you war," Lucius told him. "Then teach me justice," the boy replied. That boy would one day raise Carthage to the ground, fulfilling a prophecy born in the fires of Hannibal's wars. Epilogue. Whispers of fire. From the mountains of Macedon to the ashes of Carthage, the Roman eagle soared higher than ever. But peace never truly came. In alleyways and temples, men still whispered names once feared: Hannibal, Alexander. Now they whispered Lucius Paullus and Scipio Aemilianus. A world had ended. A new one had begun, not forged by peace but by the sons of war. They would carry fire across continents. They would carve empire from ruin. Rome no longer feared shadows. It had become the shadow. To be continued in episode 3, The Fall of Carthage. If you walked through the rise of Rome's shadow, prepare for the fire to come. Subscribe to witness how the sons of war will burn the world and rebuild it in Rome's image.